September webinar series. We will have webinar sessions on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. EST. We are planning to have 60-minute sessions and we have a busy schedule. That's why I will answer your questions at questions part. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Zeynep. I'm working as a senior product manager for Comodo security products over 1.5 years. You can directly contact me for your any questions, problems from my personal Skype and email addresses. First week, we started with overall CCS cybersecurity integration, the file rating by priority protection layers and additional security features as a warm-up. Today, we will be talking about file rating integration with Microsoft Comodo File Lookup Server and Valkyrie. The third week will be about advanced endpoint protection layers and configuring secure profiles. Last week will be about additional features for control network traffic, block certain URLs, block certain devices, and prevent data loss. We can start with file rating on endpoint as we discussed previous webinar series. The file itself cannot be dangerous until executed. So Comodo Client Security monitors all file activity on Windows devices. Every new executable is scanned against the Comodo white and blacklist, then awarded a rating of unrecognized, trusted, or malicious. Files that have a rating of unrecognized, malicious are reported to the application control interface. Admin can change the rating of a file as required. So you can configure the file analysis in the file rating settings section of the configuration profile applied to the device. CCS always calculates the rating for every executable and script once it is executed. The file rating area lets you view and manage all the trusted, malicious, and unrecognized files. File ratings in CCS are obtained from our online file lookup service. Comodo Client Security rates files on Windows devices as unrecognized, that files that could not be identified as trusted or malicious by Comodo Client Security. So you can review these files and you can manually rate them as trusted or malicious as required. Trusted files are that safe to run. Files can be classed as safe by following applications to Comodo have. For example, first, file lookup service. Whenever a file is accessed, Comodo Client Security checks the file's reputation on Comodo's online file database. The second, file rating, that the app was created by a vendor who has a trusted status in the local vendor list. So we can check this on CCS vendor list section in here, advanced settings, also inside our portal. Admin rating, you can assign a trusted rating to the files in Endpoint Manager at Security Subsystems Application Control. Admin ratings will be done inside Endpoint Manager. User rating, user can assign a trusted rating to file in the CCS interface on the endpoint, actually. There are two ways to do that. One, security alerts, I will show you in the next slides. If an executable is unknown, then it may generate a HIPS alert on the local endpoint. So users could choose to rate this as a trusted application at the alert button. And the second way is file list. As you can see inside an advanced settings, you can see the file list. You can set a user setting inside here as a malicious or as a trusted file. CCS creates a hash of all files that a user classified as trusted. So even if the same file is changed, it will keep its trusted status because the hash remains the same. So this is particularly useful for developers creating a new application, which by their nature are unknown to the Comodo. Malicious files, files on the Comodo blacklist will be quarantined or deleted by CCS. These files are reported to the endpoint manager as a malware. And once any file, any rating source returns trusted or malicious, plus unrecognized for administrator or user ratings, this rating became a final and is recorded to the internal CCS database for further usage. If no rating provider returned trusted or malicious, the file will be submitted to Valkyrie, which we will discuss later as an integration part. Submitted to Valkyrie for analysis and reported to the EM portal. The approximate average analysis time on Valkyrie is 4 hours. Once Valkyrie is set the rating, it is synced with FLS and with the EM portal. So every system are integrated with each other and they are syncing each other always at the same time. CCS is able to get FLS and Valkyrie ratings for files via EM portal or by direct lookup. So CCS rechecks rating for ever executed unrecognized files periodically every 4 hours. File rating is in CCS protection layers modules to make a behavior decision. We use these file ratings to make a behavior decision inside CCS. File rating settings interface has the same options with EM portal. So I want to show CCS screen on the previous slide. I will explain more detailed in the next EM slides these options. If you select an endpoint rating scanner alert as a disabled, inside file rating, there is an option for do not show pop-up alerts. Whether or not CCS should show an alert when a malware is detected by the cloud server scanner, it will give the malicious file to quarantine. So if you enable this option, let me open again. Do not show pop-up alerts. If you do not select that enable this option, a rating scanner alert is shown for malicious files, as you can see in the screen. As you can see, also we have do not show pop-up alerts in here. So if you enable this option, no alerts will be shown. This minimizes disturbances, but at the same loss of user awareness. CCS will automatically block and quarantine the threat, but the user will not know about these actions going on the backend side. You can choose from the actions from here as a clean. The program is blocked and quarantined. If you ignore, allows to file run, but does not attempt to clean the file or move it to the quarantine. Only click ignore if you are absolutely sure the file is safe. Clicking ignore will open 3 further options, as you can see. Ignore once the file is allowed to run this time, but it will still be flagged as a threat by further scans. Ignore and add to exclusions. The file is allowed to run this time and will not be flagged as a threat in the further future scans. The file is placed on the exclusion list, meaning it is ignored permanently by the scanner. If you select the latest one, ignore and report a false alert, The file is allowed to run this time and submitted to the Comodo for analysis. So you can select this option if you think the file is safe and that CCS was wrong to flag it as a threat. So Comodo will re-examine the file by this option. Rate applications according to their vendor rating. Inside the file rating settings, as I showed you before, we have a rate applications according to their vendor rating option in here. This means that CCS will give files the same rating as the trust rating of the publisher, the software creator. For example, if the vendor is trusted, then all files created by the vendor will be trusted. And this option's default value is enabled. The vendor is the software company who created and digitally signed the file. So you can view the vendor trust ratings inside advanced settings, file rating, and vendor list. Inside vendor list, we can see, this is the vendor list screen as I added. You can see the vendors and you can set your own vendor ratings as required. By clicking Add button, you can create a new vendor and you can give your own rating for the vendor. The vendor rating priority is admin, user, and Comodo. So clicking the vendor rating, you can see the more details, and from here you can click the vendor details. You can see the more details for the vendors. Also, you can add a new vendor in here. Under the rate applications, we have trust files installed by trusted installers option also. This awards trusted status to files whose parent application, this time the parent application is the trusted one, are listed in the installer or updater rule in HIPS rules. So we are checking the parent applications for the trusted files. And I want to continue, lastly, that you can see file rating scan options in here. I will update the other ones in EAM portal, but lastly, I want to explain from endpoint these two options. Automatically scan unrecognized files at equal intervals. The CCS can periodically scan unknown files to check whether a new trust rating is available for them. So this is enabled and set for every 4 hours. This option's default value. If you click Edit Scan Options to configure the scan settings and schedule, you can see this menu, scan name, the label of the scan, and this is pre-configured and cannot be edited. Items, the files are that are scanned by the profile. This is the unrecognized file. And this is the default value. You cannot edit or add the new files to this profile. We have scan options here, and you can configure scan technologies, how to handle threats, and more. And we have a schedule ability, specify the frequency of the automated scans, which is default is every 4 hours for this unrecognized files profile. The second, automatically re-evaluate quarantine files at equal intervals. So CCS checks our master online database for the latest trust rating on currently quarantined files. This is default enabled and set for every day, well, for once and every day. If you click the edit scan options again, you can see this screen, quarantine file scan screen. The scan name is also the label of the scan and cannot be edited. Items are also quarantine files and you cannot add or edit this profile. Also, you have a schedule option for this. You can specify the automated sequence, which I mentioned before. Once every day is the default value for schedule. So you should click the OK button for every changes inside advanced settings for your settings to take effect. I will explain the other options inside EM portal options. Before starting the EM portal options for file rating, I want to show you how you can enable to see and configure vendor list from your endpoints, how you can activate this option. Under configuration templates, profiles, you can add a profile section here as UI settings. Under UI settings, you have a general settings tab. And inside here, as you can see, you can see this show vendor list. If you enable this option, you can see the previous options like here. You can see this vendor list if you select enable this option from EM portal from your endpoint. If it is its default is disabled, so if you want to see inside your endpoints, you should enable this option from here. So we talked about a false trust rating determines how CCS handles the file on the endpoint. The ratings are obtained from Comodo's online file database, from the local CCS vendor list, and from the local CCS file list. So whenever a file is accessed, CCS does a lookup on the online database and also consults two local lists. If the file is classed as trusted, the app is from a vendor who is trusted, status in the local vendor list in CCS, as I described. And the app is trusted in online, the file database, it is whitelisted. The application file is trusted in the local CCS file list. So the interface lets you configure the overall behavior of the file rating system on Windows devices to which the profile is applied. So you can also choose whether or not local file ratings should be consultant. We can continue with EM portal settings of the file rating. Under configuration templates and profiles, as I showed you, we can add a profile section about file rating. The file rating screen has two tabs with file rating and local verdict server settings. File rating enable the rating and configure overall behavior. Local verdict server settings choose whether CCS should obey or ignore admin trust ratings which have been assigned to a file. Admins can assign a trust rating to a file in Endpoint Manager, Security Subsystems, and under Application Control. I will show you in the next slide. If disabled, file rating sequence will only consider the local and Comodo rating. It is important. You should enable this option to be able to use local verdict server settings. Let's take a look at options inside the file rating tab. As we can start from the first option, enable cloud lookup. CCS automatically checks the reputation of the files on Comodo's file lookup service. So if you disable this option, you will not, if you don't want to use CCS cloud-based file rating, so you can disable this option. Enable upload metadata of unknown files to the cloud. CCS uploads the anonymized information about unknown files to the servers. So this option allows you to analyze and whitelist, blacklist files more effectively. And disable this option if you do not want to CCS to send metadata to Comodo servers. Show cloud alerts. CCS can show an alert on the device when malware is found during a file rating scan. So users can block or allow the malwares from this alert. As I showed you before in CCS site, this is the same option from the CCS part. And we have a detect potentially unwanted applications. This is also important for our file rating system. A potentially unwanted application is an app that a user may or may not be aware is installed on their computer, so may have functionality and objectives that are not clear to the user. So potentially unwanted applications include adware and browser toolbars. They are often installed as an extra when the user is installing an unrelated piece of software. Unlike malware, many potentially unwanted applications are legitimate pieces of software with their own EULA agreements. So, however, the true functionality of the software may not have being made clear to the end user at the time of installation. For example, a toolbar may also contain code that tracks a user's activity on the internet. So CCS will show an alert on the endpoint if it detects a potentially unwanted application, and log entry is created for these kind of applications. So detecting potential unwanted applications will be good for our secure profiles. Auto purge is enabled. CCS checks the file to list and remove invalid and obsolete entries. So you can specify the interval at which check should take place to. It is also as hours. You can select the period also. It is default is 4 hours, as you can see in our profiles. You can enter a time interval in hours. A custom FLS access port defines that custom port through which the file lookup server will connect. Select the protocols and enter the port details for UDP or TCP connections. This is default also disabled. Enable report for non-executable files. If enabled, CCS send a report on the files identified as non-executable to EM on each file rating scan. So if enable report on non-executable files, you will, which is default is enabled, you will get rating scans for these each files into the EM portal. Show non-executable files. If enabled, non-executable file will also be added to the file list interface of CCS on the endpoint. And to access the file list in CCS, you can see the, let me open here. You can use here the file list. You can see the files in here. The second tab for file rating is local verdict server settings. Enable local verdict server. Choose whether CCS should consider the admin trust rating assigned to a file. So we will continue about the application control under security subsystems. So admins can change the trust rating a file in applications control. This is also shows us the applications options. As I mentioned before, under security subsystems menu, we have an application control menu. We can see the application control interface here. Files that have a rating of unrecognized or malicious are reported to the application control interface. You will see all the files that you need to see about the file rating in applications control menu. Admins can change the rating of the file as required. You can see you can have an option that change rating. The application interface lets you view the trust ratings of the files on the endpoint. So possible ratings are unrecognized, trusted, and malicious. Files being reported to this interface, you can manually set the rating of a file at your discretion. So files rated as trusted, as we discussed before, allowed to run as normal on the endpoint. Malicious are quarantined and not allowed to run. Unrecognized are inside container and isolated operating environment. So your contained applications are not permitted to access files or user data on the host machine. Any file rating you set for a file is pushed to all the managed endpoints on which the file is installed. So if you change a rating, it will be pushed all the managed endpoints which have these files. So you have to select the files in here in the screen, and it will be pushed to all the endpoint have these files. In here there is a file name. In here the menu is blocked. File name is the label of the application executable file. By clicking the name, you can see it's a blue color. By clicking this file info, you can view the details of the file. I will show in the next slides. And the file path is the installation location of the application on the endpoint. And you can also have a copy icon in here. You can copy it to the clipboard. Also, file hash has a clipboard option. You can copy it to the clipboard and you can paste it. It is SHA1 hash value of the executable file. Size is the size of the executable files, and also you can see number of devices here. This is the count of endpoints on which the item was found. If you click the number to view the device list interface with the list endpoints containing the item, you can, by clicking this number, you can see the device list of the file includes in their system. And you have a Comodo rating and admin rating column in here. Comodo rating of the file as per Comodo file lookup service, which is the Comodo file lookup service integration we talked before, reported by the CCS installations at the endpoints. The admin rating indicates the rating of the file as manually set by the administrator. If any, we are showing, for example, we have an example, malicious, unrecognized, and trusted, but the other ones are not set by an admin rating. So you can see not set as admin ratings. So you can also sort, search, and filter the values in the page in here. Under application control screen, we also have hide, display, and delete the files capability. So you can select files from here by selecting these options. And if you click the record button here, you can find that hide, unhide, and delete the record as required. To view hidden files, you can click the funnel icon at the top right to open the filter options. So you can show the hidden files from here. The hidden files will be included to the application control interface, and these files will be highlighted with a gray stripe. I can show you an example for here. Under application controls, I will select one options here, and I will hide this record, and I will go select show hidden file, and it will become here, and it is highlighted with a gray stripe. but it is inside application control interface still. How we can restore the hidden files is the same as I showed you. You can show the hidden files and the select for unhide options. You can click the file and you can unhide the record, so it is become a normal data for me. The files will be displayed in the list is permanently actually. The delete record option, you can hide the files that you no longer wish to see in the list. The files will be removed from the list, but will not be deleted from the endpoints. Please be aware of that. The delete record will not be delete the files from the endpoints. It will only delete from the application control list, so you will not see inside here. But also you can change the actions. You can show if you hit the records, you can unhide the records also. We also have a option to history of purged files. You can see here a show purged files. The purged files are those which existed on the device at one point in a time, but are not currently present on any device. So if we click, let me apply, show with purged files. So this is existed on my device at a one point in a time, but they are not currently present on my device. I can see that there is no devices in here. As you can see, these files are found, but now they don't have any devices. They are deleted, but I can see that count of the purged files in our applications control system also. So we can also export the report from here to a CSV file. You can export with a report. And also the reports will be, if you export a report in here, you can also see this report inside dashboard and reports page. You can see all the reports and I downloaded in now, and as you can see, it is created in here at this date and time. You can see all your reports from here. By clicking any data, let me go to an example here first. By clicking any data file name, you can open file info and device list tab in here. The file info screen shows basic file details and devices on which the file is present. So you can also change the trust rating of the file inside this area. The file info screen shows file name, installation path, the file type, version, size, hash values, and the date the file was first encountered. The screen also shows the file trust rating and the number of endpoints on which the file is present. You can see number of endpoints seen through and Comodo rating and admin rating. If you select a new rating, the new rating will be sent to all endpoints. If you send a change inside the file, you can also push it to the endpoints. Also, we have a device list. I copy paste in here. The device list tab lets you see a list of all devices on which the file is present. The device list screen can also be opened by clicking the number of the devices as I showed you before. Let me go through with that. If you click the number of devices, you can see the list of devices in here. You can go directly here. Also, you can click the name and go from the device list tabs. The device list screen shows the endpoint which the item was discovered. The screen also shows the installation path, the installation date, and the file rating assigned by Comodo Client Security. This is the rating on computer. That means that assigned by Comodo Client Security on the endpoint. And you can see the age and the other details in the screen for the specific files. The Valkyrie. The Valkyrie interface lists unknown files identified on all endpoints along with their trust ratings. So Valkyrie is a cloud-based file analysis service that tests unknown files with a range of static and behavioral checks. The service helps Comodo establish whether an unknown file is malicious or safe. So you can configure Comodo Client Security on endpoints to auto-upload unknown files to Valkyrie. You can also view Valkyrie settings by checking the dashboard and Valkyrie. You can here see Valkyrie options in here. By clicking, you can see the statistics in here. Also, you can see, as I showed in the slide, you can go directly here under Valkyrie. You can see your Valkyrie settings as a Windows profile. Please note that the Valkyrie that comes free with the Endpoint Manager will only run automated tests on an unknown file. The premium version also includes manual testing by Comodo research technicians. So you can select a file and click the View Details button. Select and view the details button. It will show the detail screens that file name and version, installation path and size, hash values, and more information, value and trust ratings assigned by Comodo and by an EM admin. And also you can create and export Valkyrie analyzed reports in here. Also, you can configure the Valkyrie settings as I showed you as a Valkyrie component inside the Windows profile. Also, we can go under security subsystems, security dashboards. We can see the files also. By clicking them, we can also change the ratings as I showed you under application controls. We can see the details as the same functionality with the application control. We can download the Valkyrie report for this specific file. Also, we can check the Valkyrie details for this specific file. So I will show one example for this file, and I will check the Valkyrie details for this file. This is the Valkyrie report we have for a specific file. We can see every details for a file which we have: scene count, name, virtual address, and etc. All the details are in here. The results for the detectors. And also we can see the Valkyrie integration in here. By clicking the check Valkyrie details, you can go directly to Valkyrie, and there's too many details for each files in here. So you can check that static analysis, dynamic analysis, precise detectors, file details. In this screen, you can go through the Valkyrie details for each specific file. The Valkyrie settings, as I showed you before, in profiles, I want to explain which fields means what. The lookup and submit files with Valkyrie that you can choose this option if you want the files to be submitted to the cloud file lookup service. And the check manual analysis interval, how often CCS should contact Valkyrie for the verdicts on files submitted for manual analysis. Its default is 60 and 60 hours actually. submitted for choose the type of Valkyrie analysis. That it can be automatic analysis or automatic and human expert analysis. I will open quickly an example of Valkyrie. It is automatic analysis or automatic and human expert analysis. The automatic analysis, unknown files are only tested by Valkyrie automatic testing service. Automatic and human expert analysis comes with the license of the Valkyrie. Unknown files are tested by Valkyrie's automatic testing service, and then by the Comodo research lab technicians, available for only premium license holders. Enable auto whitelisting if no suspicious activities detected by automatic and/or human expert analysis, which means you can choose this option if you wish the files identified as harmless by Valkyrie to be able to be added to your local whitelist. Do not look up and submit the files to Valkyrie if file lookup service returns error. You can choose this option if you don't want the Valkyrie file analysis in case file lookup service are failed. Submit metadata, you can choose this option if you wish the unknown file is submitted to Valkyrie along with their metadata. Metadata gives information about the file source, author, date of creation, and so forth. Submit when is you can choose when the unknown files are to be submitted. The options are immediately. CCS uploads the file to Valkyrie as soon as it encounters an unknown file. Schedule analysis, we have an option. CCS accumulates the unknown files and uploads them as per the set the schedule. So as a last point, I want to show you how we can find submitted files to Valkyrie from our endpoints. Under advanced settings, file rating, we have submitted files area. This area lets you review and manage the files that you have uploaded to the Comodo Valkyrie for analysis. The path location of the file on your computer, submitted date and time a file was uploaded for analysis, submitted as the label under which the file was uploaded, and examples include the automated and contained can be for submitted as. It can be automated analysis or it can contain. Cloud service is the name of the Comodo cloud service to which the files are submitted. This is usually the Valkyrie analytic system operated by Comodo. This is usually will be Comodo. Also, you can clean the list and refresh the list to see reloaded or edit items are submitted recently. So we can conclude that we can have a Valkyrie screen in here. We can see that security dashboards under here with by clicking that we can go to Valkyrie details. Also, we can see the file ratings in here, and we can see file details change rating for our applications. And also I can show you from the Comodo client security in here. Under settings, we have file rating settings. By clicking them, we can go through the all files as I described in our slide presentation. And we can go change the settings from here, or we can go here. We can see the submitted files in here if we have, or we can add from here as a example, I added one as a submit to Valkyrie. It can be false positive. We can submit as false positive or submit to Valkyrie with these options. This is basically our integration with Valkyrie file service and file rating applications. On the below part, I added the Comodo forum link for sharing your webinar request. And we can add our weekly webinar topics and answer your questions about this webinar. Also, after webinar session, we will send the webinar record via email. If you have questions, I can answer from this part for our session, or we can finish our settings, finish our webinar series. I think we don't have any questions. Thank you for your time, everyone. See you next week.